Hello, everyone. I'm Clarissa Williams, and today we are joined by two Tennessee conservative leaders. One is pressing Washington for the truth about UAPs, otherwise known as UFOs, and decades of government secrecy. The other has become one of Tennessee's strongest voices for protecting women's sports and keeping inappropriate material away from children. Congressman Tim Burchett represents Tennessee's 2nd Congressional District and has earned a national reputation for speaking plainly, questioning government secrecy, and being willing to challenge leaders in both parties. We are also joined by Tennessee House Majority Whip Johnny Garrett, who currently represents District 45 in the Tennessee House and is a Republican candidate for Tennessee's 6th Congressional District. Congressman, let's begin with you. You have endorsed Representative Garrett, and you have put your name on the line to align with his. So tell us a little bit about that endorsement.
When I was in the state legislature, I was there for 16 years. One of the old timers who always seemed to be in the know whether the Republicans were in power or the Democrats were in power. He told me, he said, Tim, if you want to be successful in this thing, you got to learn not to vote for bills. You vote for people, because you get some dirtbag in there and you know he's probably going to have a dirtbag bill. It's a good person. They generally have good legislation. Sometimes there's amendments or things that come on, but the reality is that you generally know the people. And everybody, they talk about gifts as Christians, what you have and what you don't have. The only gift I have, it's obviously not good looks or brains. I mean, it took me 6 years to get out of the University of Tennessee. And I didn't drink or smoke pot. And it still took me 6 years, man. But I
were on the touring visit.
Yeah, well, no. I remember the last year, my daddy was a very respected dean at UT, Dean Burchett, Dean of Student Conduct. And he told me, now I found out that you could go for half price the last year if you're a university employee's kid. And I said, Dad, no. He said, get out now. I said, yes, sir. But no, Johnny and I have been friends. I know his son. And I like what he stands for. And he shows up for the fight, and he's in the fight. And he supports the things I do in Washington, D.C. We need to secure the border. We need a strong economy. We need a strong military. We need to fund our law enforcement. Need to respect the things that we respect in this country. Mm-hmm. And too many times we elect these people that, I always say Americans want their attention span. Their attention span is, let me start over. Americans want their pizzas in 30 minutes or less, and that's about our dadgum attention span.
That's true.
And, we elect these guys and gals, and I see them in Washington every day. They get down there and they kind of get swept up in the thing. And all of a sudden they're voting for terrible legislation. That's how we're $40 trillion in debt. Mm-hmm. And we don't have people with backbone. And then how do they get reelected? Well, they go home every 6 weeks before the election. They preach the red meat gospel, and Johnny has been pretty steadfast in his beliefs. And he's a family man. I like that. And you need a good foundation up there, because it is, people always say it's the swamp. It's not a swamp. It's a sewer. Mm-hmm. And both parties, I'm afraid, have been corrupted. We're seeing it just move so far to the left with the Democrats, but I'm afraid within the Republican Party, we've shifted as well. And we've got to be real cautious in that. And just other reasons, I just got a good vibe off of Johnny. I like him, and we've been friends since we met. And I think he'll do an excellent job. He'll be a great congressman for this area, because he gets it. And he's been to the state legislature, and he knows about unfunded mandates, and he knows about dirt bags. That's a lot of it. And I don't think he's going to get swept up in any of the nonsense. So, and honestly, I need a few more friends in Washington. It's tough sometimes. If I can elaborate a little, that's
yes, absolutely.
Text from President Trump a couple of days ago on the Save America Act, because myself and two others kind of stuck our necks out, and we stopped some legislation from getting to the floor. It's called a rule vote. And everybody's mad at us. But you know what? President Trump texted me and said, stay in the fight. And that's all I needed. I didn't need it. I already knew it was the right thing to do, but that, I mean, that's Save America Act. You got to show, you got to show an ID. If you're going to buy a scratch off or a 6-pack of beer or a pack of cigarettes, things I don't purchase, but you got to do that. And to say that you don't for voting, a most sacred thing as Americans, to me is pretty disgusting.
I would agree with that 100%. And why would anyone be upset? That's the question. Is it upset on both sides?
They're stealing elections and they know it. Ma'am, there's a group up there that call themselves Republicans, rhinos, whatever. But the reality is what they want to be out on the golf course playing around, and they want to get the call from leadership. Hey, we're getting ready to vote on this. Y'all come on in. This is how we want you to vote.
Just show up whenever.
That's the way it's worked for years. That's the way it worked before Newt Gingrich took over. That's the way the Republican leadership in the House operated. And in the Senate now, nobody's really sure what's going on. So it's we've got a lot of problems. And but again, I don't think Johnny's going to be one of those. I'm not going to check his voter card to see which way he votes.
So speaking of that, are you going to be found on the golf course going with the go-kart, or are you going to go and say, hey, I don't care if I piss you off or not. You're going to get in here and we're going to get this done.
Well, that's what I've been doing right here in the State House. And that's what I plan on doing in D.C. We're going to take a lot of Tennessee to D.C. So, and like Congressman Burchett said, I'm honored to have his support and endorsement in this race. And I hope your viewers can tell why, right? He's the most genuine, down-to-earth fella that I've met. And I'm excited to work with him because I want to learn from what he's been able to do, learn to get in that fight, stay in the fight. And I'm excited to work with him as his colleague when we win this thing come August the 6th, because what he's been doing in his career in the state legislature, now in D.C., he's taken a lot of Tennessee to D.C., and I'm ready to follow that leadership and be on his team and making sure that we can make Tennessee better and better and better, because that's what we're all about. That's what this race is about, right? I was watching what President Trump's been able to accomplish for our country, that is accomplished for Tennessee. He's not done. Neither is Tim. Neither am I. And I'm excited to join that fight.
Well, here in District 6, and I'm sure it's across the board, we've heard that there is and I'm just going to say, a Democrat plan to take over Tennessee with a 10-year plan. Not sure if anyone has heard about that. I haven't talked about it on this show, but everybody needs to know we are a conservative program, and I believe conservatism is the foundation. So when you hear about those things and you see people that just have some absolutely crazy ideas, we actually had someone say they think we need to increase taxes rather than looking at just useless spending and other ways to correct and course correct. So what would you say about District 6 voters that are fed up and they're like, what is going on in our district? How would you go to DC and help fix that?
Well, I would tell them to look at what's happening in New York with Mayor Mandami. Wants to have all the grocery stores owned by the government.
Can't even celebrate the 4th of July.
Can't even celebrate the 4th of July. Probably doesn't even know what the 4th of July is, and then lectures us from the very desk from George Washington. I don't know if you saw that or not, or your viewers did, which was absolutely crazy. Who I think he's been, a citizen for 6 years, and here he's lecturing, the country on what it's like to be an American. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous, right? And so that's what we're facing, is socialism at its core, communist at its core. Like that works. That doesn't work anywhere. It's not going to work here. It's not going to work in this country. It's not going to work in Tennessee. And I know that if Tim and I have anything to do with it, it's not going to work in the 6th district, and it's not going to work in his district, because we know that it doesn't work. What happens is the Americans themselves being self-reliant, being, those that want to make sure they succeed and that they are the, fighters for themselves, right? I mean, that's what Republicans are, is we are the ones that control our own destiny, certainly not the government.
That's why we have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. As we transition a little bit, I know you have been a fighter for children's rights, parental rights, taking care of some of the issues that were unknown to many with the libraries. And I don't know, Congressman, if you all have had the same issues, but our libraries have had a lot of very distasteful, inappropriate material for children. Um, what would you say about that topic, and where do you stand with that
Well,
right now?
I filed a piece of legislation to make libraries like the ones in Nashville, the ones in Memphis that don't have a policy for inappropriate materials, to get those out of the hands of our young people, right? I mean, you can't prevent them from being in the library, but you can certainly put them into the adult section and it's adult content. And we have libraries here that don't comply with that. My piece of legislation that unfortunately didn't move in the Senate would have made them have a policy that if it's inappropriate for young people under the age of 18, they've got to separate that so they cannot get their hands on inappropriate materials inside our libraries. Doesn't say ban anything,
Right.
but it says, look, you got to have protocols and protections in place for our young people. That has to happen. And unfortunately, we have areas, and I know that you all have some here that simply don't believe that would rather these kids see this smut and learn this smut on the publicly financed taxpayer dollars. And I know people here and people across the state of Tennessee do not want their tax dollars to go to that smut. And we're going to continue that fight. We're going to make sure our children are protected from things like that shouldn't be in our public libraries. This should be a no-brainer, but that's what the Democrats want. They think they're going to have an audience here in the state of Tennessee, and I guarantee you they won't.
Well, I agree with you, and I think that all of the parents that are watching would agree with you as well. Congressman, can we change gears a little bit and talk about the legislation that you're putting forward with relation to Taliban?
Yes, ma'am.
I think people would be surprised to know that after the debacle of leaving Afghanistan, that we had all kinds of funds that were somehow helping other people.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you talk a little bit about that and educate our audience?
We left, I don't know, I've heard $400 million or more dollars worth of armaments on the ground. And we left high-tech helicopters that we were told, well, they wouldn't be able to fly it. But you know who could fly them? The Chinese. And you know who were on the ground while we were pulling out? The Chinese. And so military secrets, all this stuff. The Biden administration did us no favors in that deal. We evacuated from the wrong airport. The thing was just a disaster. And then 13 brave Americans lost their lives unnecessary. A kid in my district, Ryan Canals, I live on the highway named after him. I live on that road. And but we found out through the NGOs and other sources that we are sending them about the Taliban about $40 million, the American taxpayers, $40 million a week.
Oh my gosh.
And so and I have State Department, it's a classified document, so I couldn't talk about it. It was stamped unclassified, so I can't talk about
Oh,
it.
good.
So
we'll share as much
well,
as you'd like.
I can talk about what's in that document. And it documented during the Biden administration, we gave them about $5 billion with a B. So every month, every week, we send money in the form of through the NGOs and others, and it's literally pallets of cash, and it goes into their banks. And there are 3 banks, and they're all controlled by the Taliban, and they take a cut on the ingress and egress. I mean, the Lord takes 10% with tithe. These people take a heck of a lot more. And so you figure the NGOs too, how they operate. And Elon Musk told me this. I was sitting across the table, not any farther from me, and said, Tim, you have we've had say during the Bush administration, we had a lot of these things. We were helping out all these countries, and they have great names for them, save the children, whatever, something you and I would be supporting.
Right.
And so they set them up, and a little money flows back and forth. Well, a billionaire, and we all know the types that I'm talking about, these one world government types. Maybe they'll drop $1 million in there. And you think $1 million, that's crazy. But they've made that much in simple interest since Johnny and I walked in the studio because of the amount of money they have. And they put $1 million in there, and then some unelected bureaucrat in Washington, D.C. will see that and say, wow, that's a good thing. I'm going to start putting some money in. And and Musk and his people, they traced over $1 trillion that went into some of these things. And where does that money go? Well, it goes to bad people, but also the money flows back to this country in the form of dark money. And dark money is campaign money. So, the day before my election, there's Tim Burchett's second grade girlfriend said he pushed her in a mud puddle, paid for by people for the American choice or something, some
made
it's
up
just
name.
it's just well, it's not a made up name. It's a real name, but it's just there's an endless paper trail. It's just a vapor.
Just a pack to
It's
funnel
just,
money
yes,
in and
ma'am.
out.
And so that money flows back into these campaigns against us. And we've had some people, former Republican people in leadership, unfortunately, in Washington, D.C., that I know, I believe, profited from some of that. But also, the money will flow into, Elon Musk said he thought it flowed directly into some politicians' pockets. And that's when I stated I would be happy if anybody was doing that at either party. They were led out of the Capitol in handcuffs.
I agree.
But getting back to the money flows into their country, and it is divided basically among the Taliban. And I always state they'll hate us for free.
Mm-hmm.
And
oh yeah,
the bullets they're firing at us are paid for by yours and my tax dollars. And it goes, and we can trace American deaths. We can trace just thousands of people killed through the Taliban and the groups that they support, Hamas and all these other groups that are fringe of all that. And it's kind of it changes about every week of who's in bed with who, but they're all a bunch of shady characters, and they want to destroy this great country. And we continue to do it. And I passed the bill twice in the House, and it's literally sitting on Thune's desk right now. And he was asked by a reporter a couple of weeks ago, a few weeks back, I guess 3 or 4 weeks, and then they said he didn't know what you're talking about. And just denied it. Well, and here shows you the incredible crookedness of Washington, D.C. So you have a person who was not legitimately what was considered was a negotiator type person for the Biden administration that literally said that we can work with the Taliban, we can work with them, and just said these things, very, very positive things. I mean, it's like somebody,
that's like saying, "Hey, let's go out here and murder somebody and
we can work
celebrate."
Yeah, and they and this person, guess what, is now, they would not give them a security clearance under the Trump administration, so they had to come back to Washington. So they found them a job. They're on the foreign relations committee in the Senate that delayed it forever, for 2 years. I never could even get a hearing in the committee, and they kept delaying and delaying and delaying. And we found out it was because of this guy that was that worked for the committee, and
he's not elected. He's
no,
just
ma'am. No, ma'am. He is just an unelected bureaucrat making a big fat salary. And so you've got a problem with staffers.
How can we fire people like that? Hold them accountable.
We need some leaders with some guts, because if they're on the House side, I would ride them into the ground. I'd park in front of Speaker Johnson's office and say, you need to get rid of this guy.
Yeah.
The Democrats are allowed to hire whoever they want to, and the Republicans are allowed to hire. And we've got some on our side, and this goes into something else too, a little bit deeper into the mud or the sewer. These staff members. Now, Johnny and I are limited government Republicans. All right. We're not big government Republicans, but I serve on committees, and they always do like a picture day, and everybody comes to the committee, and Democrats and Republicans, and then all the staffers are there. And one time I counted in one committee, we had over 50 staffers on the Republican side for one committee. Now, what does that affect you and me? If they're paying a minimum wage, we're probably doing all right, but they're paying, some of them making pretty good.
Oh, yeah.
Some of them making more than congressmen do. And so, which is plenty. But so you have a staffer who maybe wined and dined some of the K Street boys and girls. That's the big time lobbyists. And say maybe they take them to dinner, and maybe they go on a little vacation. They have these congressional delegation. I've never been on. I've been on one to the border, and I can assure you it was no treat. It was down there and back in one day, and I've slept in better rooms when I was in a fraternity going to a football game in Alabama. But they do them now with staffers, and so lobbyists are there. They're whining and dining them as well, and not that anything's illegal going on, but it sure has that appearance to me. And so there's a lot of problems in Washington, D.C. It is, Reagan said it best. He said, we don't need to term limit politicians. We need to term limit staffers.
Mm-hmm.
And you have these people that are around and run these committees for years and years. And then they announce they're retiring and they're on the floor. And you look and they think, yeah, I've been here 8 dadgum years. I don't even know who that person is.
Mm-hmm.
And that's scary.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
so that you wonder why nothing happens. That's why nothing, and maybe we'll talk about the UFO issue or not.
yes.
But I was going to have, when we first were going to do the first hearing, I was told that I was going to chair it and do all this. And the day before they told me I'm not chairing it, but I'd run into more problems with the staffer because they said, oh, we want to turn the direction of this. We want to talk about the Chinese balloon. And that thing that came, I said, we've talked about that too. We already know it's a Chinese balloon.
Right.
It's used to spy on us. We're gutless. Biden wouldn't knock it down. It went all the way across the country, transverse back, went over Oak Ridge. And, they blew it up off the coast of Myrtle Beach out in the ocean, which was just a joke. So, but they wanted, the week before, a staffer told me they were going to do that. And I said, no, you're not.
Mm-hmm.
I said, you do that, I'm going to, and don't you think I'm going to blow that out of the water?
Oh, yeah.
And I did. And the chairman said, no, Burchett, we don't want that. We'll do your thing. It was the largest attended hearing in 20 years, I was told. They had to open up another room to watch it. But getting back to the Taliban, I know I've talked about everything, but
that's all right.
The Taliban, it's real, but that is the tip of the iceberg, man. Trump's right. If he said, and he's told me, and he's told America, up until 1917, we didn't pay any taxes in this country. In tariffs, we let the others pay it, and we didn't pay it.
Mm-hmm.
Whether they do it with a flat tax or something else, we need to defund this monstrosity we've created.
I agree.
It's so crooked. It's crooked as a dog's leg.
I think everyone was excited. Well, not everyone, but hardcore conservatives were excited to hear about Doge and what we were going to find.
Well, the Republicans killed it, not the Democrats.
Yeah.
Don't kid yourself.
And then when you get into that, you start hearing more.
I'm sorry.
You're just,
well, I've presented several bills, which you probably never even heard of because the press doesn't cover it anymore. One bill to eliminate over $1 trillion in duplication. One dealing with the IRS. I know everybody thinks the IRS is doing just a great job, and all those people they hired are really just good staffers wanting to help people, and you're not worried about them buying ammo.
It'd be nice if we could eliminate the IRS, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
it'd be nice.
It would. Yeah, we could.
I think that would be
We
great.
don't have the guy again. We don't have the guts to do it. That's the things people run on it when they get there. They go, "Oh, we need to back off this. We need to study it a little more," and then we just run out the clock.
Well, I think we need people who aren't running to be a politician, but who are running for the people.
Right.
Because
that's
if
up to
people send them there.
Yes, man, when 12% of the population votes.
Yes.
And what really ticks me off is evangelical Christians being one, when 40% of them stay home on election day.
I agree 100%.
They're the ones in the pulpit nodding their heads saying, oh, yeah, we need to do this. And well, dadgum, I've checked your voting record. You're not doing it.
Yes. We had, in my district, we had 26% of the voting turnout on the primary. And overall, I believe we collectively, for the whole county of Putnam County, I believe it was like 12 or 13%. It was very low.
That's right.
And every person you talk to, whether it's in the grocery store or at church, they all are aggravated with taxes, inflation, groceries are up, insurance is up, everything is going up. But if you don't go vote, you can't say anything about it because you aren't part of that solution. So I do want to shift gears, and I want to be respectful of the time also. When you were talking about the UAPs or UFOs, I'm very interested to find out a little bit more about that. Do you believe that there are other, we'll say, intelligent life? I would say a joke there, but I'm not going to say it. I'll make people mad.
No, make people mad. I said I don't have to worry about them coming to Washington because there's no intelligent life down there.
Well, I
think they're real?
Yes,
I do. And do I think we're covering something up? I do. I've talked to President Trump about it. I called him. I called him on the morning of his State of the Union address, a little bit after 5 o'clock in the morning. I don't sleep much, and he doesn't sleep. And I called him, and I was just telling him I was praying. I was just going to leave him a message. I'm praying for you. I hope you knock it out of the park. And we talked. I looked at my clock. It was 14 minutes, and one of those issues we talked about was the UFO issue. And he promised me. He said, I don't know what's in it, but we're going to get to the bottom of it. And I said, well, thank you. I said, Mr. President, it's not about little green men. It's not about flying saucers. It's what are we spending billions of dollars on?
Mm-hmm.
And why do I go into a meeting and meet with one of these alphabet groups? You know, it's FBI, CIA,
Mm-hmm.
NSA, these other groups. And one of them will tell me that they don't exist and they have no data points. And then I talk to somebody a couple of weeks later in a similar secure environment, and they say, in fact, they do exist. And then I'm watching video and photos, and I'm listening to pilots tell me the interesting encounters. So something's going on. And I didn't know it, but he's a huge UFO guy now. Is Dr. Phil. He came by to see me at my office.
I didn't know that either.
I thought we'd meet for about 10 minutes.
You meet some interesting people in this job, don't you, Tim?
And we met for over an hour. And he's called me. We've talked, and I'm talked to his wife on the phone. I mean, we're big buddies now. But he's real interested in it. It is in the mainstream now,
Mm-hmm.
and it's time for disclosure. It's time for transparency. And he was talking to me about being a Christian, and will that affect your faith? If something, I think he has an idea, a pretty good idea of what he thinks going on, and I think I do too. And I said, no, it doesn't affect my faith. I think we've tried to sanitize God and put him in this little box. I mean, if he could think us into existence, I mean, what is that?
Mm-hmm.
That's too much for my little brain. And I go out at night and see those stars, and the light from those stars literally left there before the time of Christ.
Mm-hmm.
Man, we are one grain in a billion sand beaches, and infinity is a long way.
Mm-hmm.
Genesis 1, God created the heavens and the earth. Ezekiel saw the wheel, and you go in there and he describes something that which you and I would, the only thing you could just compare it to was a wheel, because that's the most technologically advanced thing they had at the time was a wheel.
Mm-hmm.
And he did. And I've just seen too much, and I've talked to too many pilots. I've talked to too many people in the know. Admiral briefed me on a situation where they were following something on sonar going over 200 miles an hour. And the best we have is probably in the 30s. Maybe something a little higher that I'm not supposed to know about.
Mm-hmm.
But and this thing was going over 200 miles an hour, and it's the size of a football field. So why are we doing it? I have my own theories on that too, and that always gets me into trouble. But I'll just tell you, I just think it's not. Is it gonna affect the national debt? Well, maybe. We had a 0 point energy, we sure would.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
When a Starling flies across your yard, it shows a energy. It shows a heat signature is what they call it. And these things are flying at levels of speed that we can't comprehend. That to hover for these amounts of times that they do, we have nothing that will do that, and then we don't have anything that can fly as fast as they can. It would literally destroy you, liquefy your body. It's just and the amount of energy would literally power our country. And so there's a lot going on with that, and I've talked about most everything I can talk about, and the rest I really can't talk about.
Well, I will ask this, and if you can't answer it, I totally understand, and we'll edit it out.
No, I don't edit anything.
So,
I was on Rogan, and I was like, do I get a break? And he goes, we don't take no breaks. 2 hours.
Well,
Yeah.
So whenever you were talking earlier, I feel like all of this culminates into one thing. Whether it's UAPs, UFOs, Save America Act, it's kind of like look over here, don't look over here at times.
Don't trust your dadgum government.
Yes.
Do not trust it.
Who really is in control? Who's making the decisions, and why can't we get anything done?
That's the only reason I don't just walk off of it from it. God is in control, but we were supposed to be stewards of this thing, and we've allowed it to get out of control. And I think about my parents.
Mm-hmm.
Think the sacrifices they made. My mama lost her oldest brother fighting the Nazis. Mama flew an airplane during the war. Daddy fought the Japanese in the Pacific. And I put 48 star flag on my wall. My uncle and my mama would cry every time they played that national anthem. My daddy, you could never wake him up over his body. He always grabbed him by his big toe because he might wake up on those islands. Because all the awful things he saw and had to do. And I think about that. I think about the sacrifice they made, and I think, yeah, it's worth it. We've got to. That's why we get good people like Johnny in there, and we got to fight because, man, we will lose our dadgum country. These elections. This is the election cycle. What's happening in New York is you're not going to see the Democrats denounce those communists. They're going to move in that direction, and there's going to be a gap there. And what do? Do we fill in that gap and go farther to the left? Or do we hold our ground and move more in a conservative manner?
There's a candidate in New York that is going to be the congressman. Some of the things this person has said, she wants to abolish the border. She wants to eliminate all deportations, saying all deportations are wrong. In fact, and I'm quoting, so she said it, I don't know if it was at her victory celebration or she tweeted it, that she forgot to get napkins to clean her hands off. So she just wiped her hands on the American flag.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, that's the type of people
shouldn't even be allowed to run and do that.
That's you're exactly right. I mean, that's what we're looking for. She's also called, I don't know if it's a she or he, because I can't pronounce their name. It's a she. She's also said she wanted to get rid of completely the police. I mean, that's what we're talking about. That's what we're fighting.
You'll see Hakeem Jeffries.
Yes,
because he's from New York and he wants to stay. It's all about staying in power. It has nothing about doing what's right.
That's right. That's what we're facing.
Like Johnny wanting to get in a fight that are willing to get into it and roll up his sleeves and start busting some noses.
We need to get you some boxing gloves.
That's right.
Man,
even if I don't have them, I'm ready.
We don't need a cushion.
That's right.
Well, talking about the UAPs, UFOs, as well as other things that we've just talked about and the alphabet soup of the agencies, what would you say to the voters who are hearing this and want somebody that's going to go in and join the fight with Congressman Burchett and say, we're not giving up?
Well, I would say that this is what we've been doing here in the state of Tennessee. That's why Tennessee is such a great place
Tennessee is
to
zero
live.
Debt, ma'am. I always compare it, and I talk about Johnny and the others. Zero debt, no income tax. People aren't moving out of Tennessee.
That's right.
To rent U-Haul trucks and trailers. And dadgummit, you could never get the big ones.
That's right.
Big trucks. That's all there is out there now. You drive by a U-Haul lot and just look at them because people are moving here. They're not leaving. And you know what they're telling me? It's terrible where I came from. I'm warning y'all not to embrace that.
Yes.
Superimpose a little Tennessee up there in D.C.
Johnny's got the slogan. It's the reality. Washington needs a lot more Tennessee, man.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think we have a lot of issues. I would love to have you guys come back sometime.
Absolutely.
We will welcome you all to talk about any of these topics or any others that you'd like. But I also want to make sure everyone knows that we do have rhinos. We have people locally as
right
well
here
as
that's running that believes
right here in this community. So
it starts at the local level.
It certainly does.
Races are the best thing I could report to you from Washington D.C. is we didn't do anything this year, and that would allow the states and the locals to adjust.
Well, I know there's a lot of things going on. There's a lot of rumors. Rumor mill is always in control, it seems like, until we take control and we ask the hard questions and we do as much as we can to put a stop to it. But at the end of the day, we're just going to have to keep fighting the fight and making sure that we do not allow people to take the torch that was once lit here so that people could see what America stands for. I will always stand for faith, family, and freedom. And we have leadership that delivers, and we need people like that in Washington, D.C. and here in the state of Tennessee. So I want to thank you guys for being here today.
Don't let me hanging.
Right here.
Congressman Tim Burchett and Tennessee House Majority Whip Johnny Garrett, thank you both for joining us, for answering our questions, and for spending time with us here in the studio. To everyone watching across the Upper Cumberland, thank you for staying informed, asking thoughtful questions, and remaining engaged in the decisions that shape our communities, our state, and our nation. Stay connected with Highlands Insider and Cookeville Now for continued election coverage, candidate interviews, and conversations on the issues that matter most to the people of the Upper Cumberland. Thank you for letting us be a part of your story and for being a part of ours. I'm Clarissa Williams. God bless each of you, Tennessee, and the United States of America. And remember, be a light, be bright, be bold. See you the next time.